Hello my friends, this is Gosia from Cosmique Agency, and we are beginning a very important video. I will explain now why. The second part of the video about Yazhi series. However, it's not going to be really just about Yazhi. You will see why. I don't even know how to start this because there's going to be a lot of things that I will have to say and explain. This is a very important and personal video for me. So please watch it till the end. It's long, divide it up into sections, watch it within the several days, but I didn't want to split it into halves. I just wanted to let it go in one piece. And watch it till the end because at the end, after showing all the conversations with Yazhi, I'm actually going to also possibly connect some pieces with the latest infiltration. This video, infiltration or whatever that happened at the end of 2024, 2025. This video is for the people who know us, those people who know the story, the people who know Yazhi. So please, if you are totally new, skip it. Don't be discouraged by it. There is a whole playlist of videos. Yazhi herself has over 150 videos in her playlist where she's sharing super metaphysical information and interesting stuff. But like I'm saying, this is for me very personal video, which I don't care if some people are going to say, oh, this is old, this doesn't matter anymore. For me, it does, because everything that happened with the supposed infiltration and everything that happened in this contact is still with us. It is always going to be with us. It is fresh. And I will be totally honest with you. It's been very painful for me, and I'm still suffering and healing through that. In fact, I don't know if I'm really healing rather than just staying on pause, working as I'm supposed to work. Or I'm supposed to, by myself, of course, my own self-imposition. But that feeling is not going away, that black hole that all that situation created. Until this day, I have no idea what happened, how it happened, and what the heck went on. And it's something with me every day. So for you, maybe old. For us, Robert and I, it's not. It's very important. And I also want other people up there to see this video. So it is not just for you, just for the humans. I know more or less what I'm doing with this video. So this is going to be a video where I am telling Yazhi that I feel we should stop this work. I didn't want to continue anymore. This was around 2022, but in the beginning. And you will see how Yazhi is responding, how we are going through that dilemma. And this series, well, it is about Yazhi showing her dedication, showing all of them their dedication. Behind the scenes series is about showing the dedication that Svaru had, Anneka had, Yazhi and Athena. But the reason why that series started in the first place, Behind the Mission, was actually as a response to, at that time, what was being said about us, being some mean agents and just, being mean to the Taigetans and exploiting them all those years. So that series was born as a result of that, of wanting to show their dedication, dedication throughout the years, how much they wanted to do this. This was not us. This was our mutual, beautiful effort. So I'm doing this for my own peace of mind, for my own integrity, for my own healing process. I really believe that this video is part of some of the healing process. I need to show some of these things. And those who will be watching up there maybe are among those who didn't know us or our dynamic very well with Yazhi and with Svarus and with the Taigetans. So this video is also for them. Okay, so let's go to the main point of the video, and that's going to be, I wanted to stop. Just to give you a context, why I wanted to stop so it doesn't just jump in to the video right away. I always told you, I'm looking here because I have my notes, as always. I always told you that since day one, really, or maybe not day one, but a little bit later on, not everybody on board was always on board with this project and with sharing so much with the people. There were always disagreements about this and controversies. This was not something that was just like, wow, embraced by everybody on the ship. I told you this from the very beginning. I just didn't go into much details, many details, and maybe I didn't have those details myself. It was just picking them up along the way. But yeah, some people on the ship never thought that this was very useful to the humanity, and it's not worth the risk. It's not worth sacrificing your peace of mind, your health, which is something I don't understand because they are here in the first place. And I keep saying this to Yazhi in conversations all the time. Like, I don't understand. They are here. If they want peace of mind and health when they stay in Taygeta, why are they even here in the first place? If you are here, you are assuming there's going to be risks and there will be sacrifice. In whatever way the person chooses to take on that sacrifice, including myself, who came in the immersion process, which in a way is a big sacrifice. So things were happening around, also many attacks and, a lot of negativity. And also in that time, the COVID situation, problems with the Federation. So everything that was happening around this project was always worrying them because they were following what's happening. So, of course, some of them, they didn't want to get much involved, or they thought this was not really useful, even though, this is for the people to decide, right, on Earth, if it's useful for them or not. But yeah, some of them were against. And now, so this is the context, like I'm building up to the main context. I'm going to show you a short conversation. This is before we enter the main principal topic of the video. I'm going to show you a short conversation, and this is from March 2022, where Yazhi is saying some of these things, that some of the Taygetans don't find what we do very useful.
About the war, the t-shirts are in operations. What happens is that they feel committed to help, given the consequences they see if the war escalates at any moment if they do not intervene, and it may escalate even if they do. There are others here who do not support these ideas of helping. What ideas exactly do they not support? The ideas of intervening in Earth's affairs.
So there is a group of you who do not agree with helping in this war?
They do not agree with helping anyone.
Anyone? Then why are they here near Earth if they are not here to help? Just watching, eating popcorn?
Tell that to them. Something like that, yes, popcorn.
Well, I'm just asking to understand how they think. It's not judgment about their attitude. I'm curious to know why they are here.
They do not agree with helping anyone, and that includes this disclosure. They only see that it has brought health problems and trouble.
Then they shouldn't help.
And they don't. I, on the other hand, do whatever I have to do.
And I do too. But those who do not want to help, why do they tell those who want to help what they should or should not do? Let each one do what they want, even if they decide to sacrifice things of themselves. We all do, even me coming in immersion. Why do they come so close to Earth, where they could be affected? Someone could ask. They are doing the same. Their families in Taygeta surely think the same. My 3 cents.
Aren't those who are incarnated on Earth sacrificing themselves in the same way for doing exactly that?
Okay, so now continuing with the context of why I didn't really want to continue. Well, as you know, those of you who know, around 2022, we had that infiltration event happen. Yes, another one. There's always something going on, and bad factions trying to infiltrate and disrupt. So that situation, I'm not going to, of course, summarize what happened there, but it was really very serious and very ugly. And that situation caused a lot of distress, which is understandable, to everybody, us including, of course. So it was, kind of perhaps understandable that some of these members who even before thought, oh, this is really useless, I mean, this is not worth the risk, especially when that infiltration happened. So they kind of started to blame this project just for association. By association, well, because those girls, they met us, and then they were introduced to the Taigetans, and they infiltrated from inside. I have to say, I was never friends with those girls. I had nothing to do with them. It's actually I don't even care. I'm not there to point fingers or to blame who is to blame for that infiltration. I'm just saying that I never could stand in the way of them wanting to talk to certain people on Earth. If they wanted to talk to certain people on Earth, and they talked to hundreds before us, so this has nothing to do with the project itself, but with just their openness to talk to many people. The project first contact began in 2008, so there were hundreds of people coming and going. So I can't stand in the way to tell them who they can talk to or who they can't. I never did, and that's just absurd. So Aneka wanted to talk to them. They wanted to talk to them, and whatever happened. Those of you who follow the story know what happened, but it was very ugly, and Yazhi was also curiously blamed for that as well. And now many of you maybe enigmatically were left with that question in my last video. Why was Yazhi blamed? Because I mentioned that. Well, it was because Yazhi at that time was talking to one of those girls, the infiltrators, who we called Esther, and the other one as well, but especially with Esther, and she, according to the Taigetans, revealed too much information to her about her, supposedly, and that led to the development of the events, and in the end, Alahi died, one of them on board, and, and at the end, they couldn't be extracted like they were planning, to come on board and get close to Alanim. That was the plan, and as a result of all that, they unleashed that whole campaign against us. And Yazhi was blamed, like I'm saying, as a part of this process, because she told too much information to Esther, and also Yazhi has been always blamed for that. For her supposedly manipulating people to work for her, which is totally crazy. And actually, this is going to be talked about. You'll see, it's going to be a surprise video. Now, video number 3. And now, why do I say crazy? Because this is just inspiration. If someone is inspiring you to do something, this is not manipulation. I'm not going to talk more about this because we talked about this before, and I will talk more about this in the surprise video number 3, so I don't want to now waste my time. But basically, how I see manipulation is what actually happened in that Esbaru Oficial channel after it shattered its integrity in my eyes, when they were lying about, for example, CIC being extraterrestrial just to get more donations. That's manipulation. That's using lies to gain or obtain a benefit. That's for me the definition of the manipulation. She was just like perhaps mentally invigorating people, Joan of Arc style, to do more work, which for me, like again, I don't see it that way, and it will be explained in video number 3. Also, as it was found out, actually, Allahi dies in every single timeline. Well, we cannot know what's happening in every single timeline, but it was discussed with Athena and Yazhi, and I don't remember exactly how it was discovered, but it was discovered that actually he dies, like his soul chooses the exit at that specific time, age, more or less. So that's just a side point. At the end, with this whole blaming thing, what I see happening here is that who is really to blame, if we are to blame anybody, is the extraterrestrial Taygetan dramas being played out on Earth and through humans. Taygetan dramas, Cabal dramas in Taygeta, all intertwined. Taygetans pulsing through immersions certain humans to fulfill their agendas. For example, hiding among humans. This is all connected. This is not Yazhi. This is not Robert and Gosia. This is not this disclosure project. This is same old Taygetan Kabbalistic conflicts plugging into and latching into this totally innocent work that I believe we have been doing and using it as a scapegoat, plugging into it to continue to play out what was started long before Robert and Gosia even came into the scene, or Yazhi, because she arrived in 2019. I believe this whole project was started in a very innocent and idealistic way. I don't even know, Robert didn't even know what's going on politically behind the scenes there with the Taygetans. And then I believe those Taygetan Cabal dramas, so to say, conflicts, latched onto us and used this project to play itself out and also to destroy the project in the process. So that's how I see this. Now, I never talked to anybody from the Taygetan team who directly told me they didn't like this project or they didn't want it to continue. So it was just always something that we've heard. Aneka or someone, would always say, "Oh, there are just some that don't agree with this and that." So in a way, I must say I was a bit disappointed at the time, and I actually had to go through double disappointment, because first disappointment was Federation. I thought in the beginning they're going to be so happy. They are just these warriors who fight for justice, and they're going to be so happy with us giving this knowledge back to the people. So no, that wasn't the case, that disappointment. And then the next disappointment was, which is understandable. I mean, people will not agree on everything. That's okay. But it was a slightly bit disappointing when we were finding out that not everybody on the ship was agreeing with what we were doing. I must say, most did support it. And everybody that we talked to, Naishara, Alenim, Kila, Ragel, Gabriel, everybody was always on board with this, of course. We heard of some who were not approving. And I was telling myself, well, in the end, we are doing this for the people, and we cannot agree with everybody. Taygetans are also our people. So I was telling myself, I'm not doing this for them in the end. I'm doing this for the people. So we continued, and that was that. So again, when this infiltration happened in 2020, that was like the turning point for them, especially because, wow, they started to be afraid more of this project. It affected them very badly. It affected us as well, of course. They started to, like I'm saying, blame Yazhi for some things. And of course, at the same time, they had many problems. It's understandable they were super tired. I always understood that the Federation issues, they had pressure from the Federation and from the High Council for not contacting people and for not even being operative near Earth. The Federation was always trying to kick them out and never agreed with what they were doing. So they were under a lot of stress, and that's completely understandable. And you'll see more in the conversation. So when that infiltration happened, after that, when that campaign was unleashed by the infiltrators, then the communication was cut off. That was when we didn't have a communication for 5 months, for whatever reasons. There were different reasons. And we were here by ourselves, having to kind of clean the situation from our perspective, how to clean it. And we continued on. And after 5 months, and this is now where the conversation will begin with Yazhi. After 5 months, Yazhi appears online. She's the first one that appeared. And, she is telling us how she is feeling, why she had to come online. And this is when I start to explain to her that I'm not feeling comfortable with this situation when a lot of things are happening, a lot of things are affecting them. And, this project is like adding to the stress because of everything that happens around it, which is inevitable, which, like I'm saying, the Taget and Cabal dramas will be played out. Apparently, we didn't know that in the beginning that will happen. No one did. Will be played out through this project, infiltrators, negativity, attacks, and that was too much for some of them, for many of them. So for me, I had to reconsider if it's a very good idea to continue. I was always very wary of that, careful of making sure that people are on board with this, because I never wanted, it was never my intention or Robert's to do anything ever against anyone's will. That's very important. Like I'm saying, some of them could not agree. They were not participating. They were just on the side talking about the project. So that's okay. But it was important for me that as a group decision, it was with the active members of this project, it was always agreed. So here is the conversation with Yazhi. This is, September.
I see those blames as more of the same, just noise here. I understand how you feel. I have had months to chew on that. No one ever will be 100% supported. And although many points against continuing are valid, I feel it is a case of more than one point of view being correct. For example, writing and sharing for the simple purpose of sharing with no expectations. And not repeating old mistakes, like bringing in external people. And in a manner where you, Robert, and I can continue with our lives without the divulgation becoming a burden on us all, more enriching our lives rather than defining them and causing us all harm. I guess you are sick of all this anyway.
No, what I'm tired of is being held responsible for this project, like it was and is all my and Robert's idea. It's unfair and even cruel.
Not on this ship. No one ever blamed you one bit, because they know you.
If anything, we are a part of something larger here, all of us who are involved.
I feel something is using me too. We've discussed this before, you and I.
And why are you online now? Why did they give you the permission?
Because I can be nasty. I wanna.
And why did you wanna?
Because I appreciate our work. I think it is very valuable. Because I feel we and I left things unfinished. And as these months passed, I see some things more clearly than ever. And because I feel something, a higher force, as you say, is moving me.
Right. Still though, it's not worth it losing well-being of people on board, couples fighting, health going down, etc. I don't want that. I never did. You need to decide that among yourselves on the ship, if to continue or not. We will follow their directives.
It's already decided. But I have to take the responsibility, so the T's told me. They feared that I would drag Anneka back into this work. Because to this day, Anneka wants to work with you and Robert again. So no Yazhi, so Aneka did not go online. I'm being naughty here now, but I've never been obedient.
Maybe I can make another private video for the Ds?
If you want, but I think it's not necessary. What I've heard along these 5 months indicate they trust and support you. The problem was not you or Robert. It was everything around us all. So I don't see it as necessary. I mean, they are already on your side and understanding you, so what for?
But I fear you're only saying it, Yazhi, to make me feel better. So who is against us?
Some Federation Council members, backed by some Taigetan Council members who don't even know you or us.
Now I'm going to stop this video for a second, just for a moment here. Please take a note of what Yazhi said here, that some Taigetan members who do not know you or us. I will circle back to this as it might connect with the recent infiltration. There are people who did not know us, who did not know the dynamic and our friendship. Also, I'm mentioning here the private video. That private video which I am mentioning here, I did not make, but, and this is going to be a surprise video number 3, several months back, before this conversation, I made a first, the only private video to the Taigetans addressing Yazhi's situation and how I perceive Yazhi. And this was my message to the Taigetans that I sent privately through Athena. I never shared it, but I'm going to share it now with you as a video number 3. But let's go back to the conversation now. Okay, well, I'm just really happy you came online.
Me too. I missed you so much.
You did? I missed you a lot too, but more than anything, I was worried.
Of course I did. I was worried too, not being able to find a way back online.
Why were you? You could have your drones and other methods.
Because I love you and Robert. That's why. And the T's have drones. I do not. All I have as a drone is one that came with my Polly Pocket doll.
I love you too, and I am so happy you are well. Please say hello to everyone from me, but especially Athena and Aneka.
Athena and Aneka send you and Robert their very best regards. They will be back online at their own time. At least Athena. I am still here for you.
Oh, no rush. It's just good to know you are okay. That's all that matters. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for receiving me.
Okay, so now what happens? We finished that conversation, and now I'm rethinking again the situation, and I'm leaving a message. That was the only time where I left that kind of a serious decision message. It was very hard to write, but I had to. Yazhi is not in conversation. I am leaving a message, because sometimes you would just like leave messages and then whoever sees it responds later. Robert is quiet here, but I'm speaking for both. And for the record, of course I wanted to continue. It's not like I didn't. Of course I did. I wanted, but I believe then that we couldn't. And then when I leave that message, Yazhi comes in. I'm not there. She responds. I am taking the responsibility for participating in this project and wanting it to continue all these years, for keeping it alive, as a team member among several who have wanted to keep it alive, and consequently being indirectly responsible for all that happens as a result. And I know this responsibility even extends beyond my Gosia self into Karolosha, deciding to do this from your side, no doubt. I cannot take responsibility, though, for all the dramas that emerged as a result of, for example, the Taigetans wanting to talk to other people that caused problems, attacks, or infiltrations. Few of those people were part of the first contact program before we even met. I don't see that as part of this project. I am pretty sure I just wanted to come down here and keep it simple, pass the knowledge, and that's it. Having said that, thinking further, Yazhi, I think it would be narrow-minded of me to think that this project is only affecting those participating in it directly. Mostly it does affect only them. Like for Hashmalim, if they put themselves at risk, it's their own decision. So that's true. But at this point, you and us cannot simply do what we want, even if it is wanting to continue, because our actions are affecting people up there, even your internal politics. So I think, and I told Robert this as well, that we should stop. It's the only logical solution to all this. Too many people up there don't support this for whatever reason. And I think humans already have so much. We all have given so much. Perhaps it is enough. Robert agreed with me, although I know he would like to continue too. So, with the heavy heart, but that's what I think is best for everyone, for all of you mostly. I still have stuff I must finish, if that's okay. Perhaps here and there, if any of you wanted to say something, we are always at your disposal, but not in the way it was before. And it's not something I wish, so don't say as you wish. It's a logical, not desired, but necessary solution. I don't see any other option, except for maybe sharing something once a month or so, like it's not a big deal or with no effort at all. It's simple. If people on the ship feel this should stop, some in Taigetan Council say so, so it must. Being rebellious is not always the way.
Gosia, I am talking to you with full support of Alanim. Yes, this disclosure has caused much controversy up here, as well as down there. On the other hand, we here know it has helped a lot of people on Earth. As for people up here, the stress that is, or was, or still is hurting them is caused by the collateral drama and not because of the disclosure itself, isolated. Everyone here knows that. So that's your decision if you want to stop. But no one is asking you to stop. Me, much less. I do see and understand the value of all this work. But if we are to continue, it must be done in a very friendly to us all manner, taking things in a light way, so as not to overtask you and Robert, because you were, and not to overtask me too. But I didn't say I wanted to stop. As we, not only I, see this from here, it could continue in a way neither party is affected. That is, as you said, taking it slower. Not as slow as receiving letters from the Ummites, but in a relaxed way so both you guys and we here can go on with our lives. Making this disclosure enrich our lives rather than become a liability or something to drag along. But then, this comes to you and Robert. Same as for us here. You cannot live under such pressure to make videos one after another. As you once said, here we've been many people changing. And you are always the same two people. Noted. But now, it looks like it's only me and perhaps Athena further ahead in any case. So, I do see the need for you and Robert to do other things too if you want. Enough is enough if you see it that way. I respect that. I'm only giving you an alternative, not to be so drastic either way. So, from my perspective, I understand your point, but it's not serious. The dramas are not from the disclosure itself, but from what gets generated around it. As long as we keep the affected, critical crew members out of it, everything will be fine. I think this situation, together with the fact that everyone is all packed inside the ship, causes strain on anyone's health. Taigetans are sensitive and cannot process certain kinds of negativity.
Exactly. And we have to consider that not everyone can handle what this disclosure sometimes brings. We have to stop. The disclosure has already reached where it had to reach. They cannot handle more, even if they are not participating. I don't want to continue like this.
But it is not the disclosure itself that generates problems, but the unnecessary drama around it. You are not the ones generating the drama. On the contrary, you have wanted to calm it down. And if you wish to stop, that is understood. But I don't want you to say you want to stop without fully understanding the situation. For example, in Aneka's case, it is understandable she should not be online. But in isolation and in another way, things could continue without affecting the others, or me, who also has to do other things, like my school.
But it is inevitable that in one way or another, something will be generated around this work. Something will always happen. We are talking about ignoring things, and I have been saying that for years, and it is never ignored enough. It is said yes, but then it turns out not to be so. Even you are still affected sometimes. And I am too, honestly. I say it doesn't affect me, but in some way, the mental overload has surely accumulated for me and for Robert as well. But we keep going.
But it will not be the Taigetans who are online, only the Svas.
They were not online that much before either, only Aneka. Even so, some complained.
Yes, but that is why I say let's try a test. Go slowly, with few new topics. Live your lives as you wish, and we will see how things adjust. They are calling me to help feed the 22 cats. It won't take me more than 5 to 7 minutes. It's just to control the feline madness at feeding time.
I don't know, Yazhi. I am not fully convinced. The idea of going slowly seems fine, but I have an inner feeling telling me that not even that should be done. I'm tired of hearing that things are not well over there. Not many people there seem to be on board with this project, apart from you mainly and some others. And I don't need approval, okay? I know we cannot always have everyone's support. But if fights are already happening between crew members, people taking sides and all that, then I don't feel like continuing like this. I don't want any of that. It was not my intention to work this way.
Okay, done. Thank you. But Gosia, since yesterday I told you that nobody blames you, and I am here with the support of Alanim and Athena. This was talked about, and the consequences were discussed before I returned online. I don't see why one topic per week would affect anyone, for example. And the fact that there are 22 cats here is also a very big source of fights and stress for the crew. There are too many and cause endless problems.
The fact that it's not our fault doesn't matter anymore because yes, it's not our responsibility to control the emotions of Taigetans who are not involved but get affected. Yet, I see that they cannot avoid being affected, so it falls on us to take the reins.
That's why only Svaz would be online, and only a little, mostly me. The fights on the ship were not only because of the disclosure. Even the cats caused a very strong crisis here. It was feline madness here that collapsed the crew's morale. The circumstances here are always critical for many reasons, and not because of the disclosure. In fact, this disclosure was just taken as a scapegoat for other problems.
You see, how can I work like this? Being a scapegoat, that's not nice when we work so much. You're only giving me more reasons to stop. Not because I'm tired of the work itself that much, but because of how some of them are taking it. Them, I just want to help.
That was at that moment, not now. At that time, there were many problems and feline madness here. 5 kittens were born. They grew, and some wanted to throw them down to earth or take them to the Viera. And 2 sides formed here, some in favor, others against. Meanwhile, the mother of those cats is a fierce, feral cat who made it impossible for the others to enter the park to do their business, causing a storm of feline pee and poop everywhere, including on critical electronic parts. They were destroying everything badly. They caused serious damage to the equipment. One of the worst ones was renamed Mioncio, Gosia, it's not that serious. What I told you was about the drama of that moment 5 months ago. Things look different now. Alanim thinks it's fine to continue, but with the changes we already mentioned.
It's just that for some people, everything becomes a disclosure. Robert and I are tired. This work is difficult. We have to deal with the attacks here, and on top of that, we don't feel that we are always appreciated up there, 100%. We talked about that recently, Robert and I. In fact, Yazhi, look, put yourself in my place. If I told you that this work causes problems between Matthias and me, that Robert and I argue, that I get sick, that I'm about to die from stress, this and that, what would you tell me honestly? You would say, Gosia, leave it, right?
I haven't said the good part yet. I understand you, and I respect it if you stop, but not because of what I said, because that's not the whole story, and it's not that serious. The good part, in short, is that this work has caused a mass awakening. And this disclosure has saved thousands and thousands of lives. But that is not visible, as we have said for months. That part is hard to see. The trolls are the noisy ones, but you can count them on one hand. Literally, there aren't even 10 serious trolls. Today, the purpose of everything is seen more clearly here on the ship. The seeding of information, even if it is ridiculed, does not matter, because there are even patterns for that well understood among humans. New information is first denied, then ridiculed, then accepted as part of the context, and finally accepted as valid.
Who sees this purpose? Last night you said, Yazhi, that many on the ship see it as useless. The same is going to help with any intervention on Earth.
Yes, but that is their opinion. They respect the intervention, but they do not see the purpose because they are under the idea or influence that it hurt their loved ones. But for example, Aneka, nobody forced her. On the contrary, Aneka says she feels her life lacks meaning and purpose without this work.
Yes, nobody forced her, exactly. Do they also blame the Hashmalims for being Hashmalims? Their work is highly dangerous too.
Exactly.
I would like Alanim to come online if possible, or Naishara too, but Alanim mainly since she is the queen, and for her to say what she thinks about continuing. I want it in writing.
Yes, I already know why. They told you not to listen to me because I'm only the annoying child on board.
No, I just want to see from Alanim herself that she approves continuing, even if very slowly, and that it will not cause problems. I feel I cannot continue with all this around it. I have to respect the Taigetans and how what happens around this affects them. This work is not only for humans, it is about them. It is their world, their reality. Of course, what is said and what happens around it affects them, even if they are not directly involved.
I will tell them that, okay. Yes, I know. Yazhi is dangerous if left alone.
I just want to tell her what I think and see what she says.
But not because of what happens up here. There will always be those who are against something. And what about those you affect positively?
Yes, because of what happens up there, obviously, Yazhi. There are no other reasons why I want to stop. I know you would like to continue. I would too. But people are being affected, and I don't like that. I already feel tired from the work itself. It is hard. And now this. You, Yazhi, are something else, something different. If we worked only with you, it would be different. But it is not like that. What we do affects everyone there.
Basically, you would be working with me, nothing more.
But as I said before, it still affects them, because in a way we represent them, their world. They will keep following what we are doing, watching the videos, the comments. This work awakens attacks. You have to be strong for that.
Gosia, if you do not think about the trolls, then you should not think about the few annoyed people on Mount Olympus in Taygeta, 440 light years from here. Besides, more people on that same mountain support it than those who do not.
Yes, but I do think about them, and about problems for the peace in Taygeta. I think about everyone.
You are not causing any of that.
And it will always be like this. One day they support, another day they don't. Up and down. How can we work well in this environment?
There will always be differing opinions. But the fact that I'm here is not to put more pressure on you. That is not the case. Okay, I have to go eat now. Tomorrow we will talk more, and I will speak to Alanim.
You are not putting pressure on us. I know, Yazhi. I love this work. But I still have topics from before, and I don't want it to be like before. Every day, more information coming in.
Only that instead of digging up all the information, sometimes there will be new, that's all. And there is a constant flow of information and contact, and not every day. Everything calm, so everyone can do their own things.
Okay, yes, but I still need to hear what Alanim says.
Yes. Yes, he is dangerous alone.
Alanim is the leader. She is the boss. She is the one I have to listen to here regarding this matter. It is her crew. And my concern is for them and for her as well.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
No, not tomorrow. You said not every day.
Not every day, but at the beginning, while organizing, it might be necessary. But it's true, not daily. But not like I go and I leave everything half said.
I know, I'm joking. Whenever you feel like it, and whenever we do too. Okay. Thank you for sticking until this point. There is much more, so stay around. Now, Yazhi comes back and she leaves a message. And she says that Alanim cannot come and that they don't have the access to the internet. So this is not a chat now. This is just Robert and I leave her messages.
Thinking about this carefully, I do not agree. The arrangement and the work, as we said, being more sporadic for the convenience of both sides, would be only with me. Alanim is not even of my race, and I will not be under her orders just because I am inside a Taigetan ship as a guest. She has no jurisdiction over me or over my actions. I care about both of you very much, but you will have to make your own decisions about whether we continue or not. But it would be only with me.
Hello, Yazhi. As far as I'm concerned, we can continue, as long as it doesn't cause problems on the ship. We just need to figure out what's causing those problems so that we can prevent them, and always respecting both races, the Taigetans and the Swaronians.
We care about you too, Yazhi. I think Robert expressed it well. Even though the work is with you, our bond and friendship are with them as well, and we do not want to do anything that causes them problems. We have to respect you and them equally. What we do with you, even if it is only with you, still affects them too. Also, I want Alalim to hear from my own mouth what I think. If she cannot connect, I would like her at least to read this conversation we are having, where my thoughts are expressed, and for her to tell us to go ahead. I know you have problems with some who do not approve of you. That must not feel good, and it probably makes you feel even more rebellious. But Alanim and the t-shirts need to know what I think here. You may not be under their jurisdiction, but we are spreading their information as well, together with yours. It represents their society. So naturally, we have to respect Alanim's opinion, and she should also be able to know ours. And yes, I think it is fine to work with you sporadically. You know I love it. It's just that I feel a bit caught between a rock and a hard place here. And being able to hear from Alanim and to let her see my opinion would be important, I think. If she can, of course. Yazhi leaving a message.
As I already explained, it's only me. Alanim cannot come and say anything, not for now, because the ship has been cut off from the internet for months. They have reconnected a couple of times and then disconnected again. Federation reasons, wanting to keep everything contained on Earth for the difficult or critical time it is going through. Everyone, not only the t-shirts. I am the only one with the ability to be online because I use a system, let's call it that, which the t-shirts cannot use, only me, even though I am still aboard their ship. I cannot say what system it is because I would expose myself and they would silence me once again. And it took me several months to achieve this. I can feel that you are tired, Gosia. Robert has not expressed himself yet, but he must be too, and that is understandable. You repeatedly express your desire to stop, even though you live from this financially. In that case, it might be better to stop until the t-shirts are online, and you can hear everything directly from them.
Okay, now this continues. Now I'm not there, but Robert is there with Yazhi, and this is now a chat between them. So it's a live chat they have. By the way, I got really annoyed by that comment about money because Yazhi knows better than that. I don't like any mentioning of the money because this is completely. I'm in my mind. I am a million years away from that. Of course, it's needed, but everything I always think about is how to make the videos better, what to say, how to say it, what's important. This is my only intention. But anyway, so Robert, Yazhi are talking together. I come in a little later.
Thanks, Yazhi. That's fine with me. I do want to stay in communication, however we can.
The communication cut had a lot to do with things completely unrelated to this work or to you. Among other things, there was an internal collapse in the functioning and group dynamics here inside. The cats had a lot to do with it, from the moment there became too many of them. Many of the t-shirts do not want to adapt to having so many cats, mostly because they don't like living surrounded by little poops here and little poops there, and surprises about where they have done their business. They are not just cats. There are 22 of them, and they have their own feline politics and conflicts among themselves that end up affecting the non-feline crew. As they say, we end up living their lives, not ours. Because it's not only about feeding them, for example, but also making sure this one doesn't steal food from that one, and that the one over there doesn't scratch the ice out of the one trying to be a smart pants and grab more. With morale so low, it was impossible to continue. The t-shirts are going crazy, being locked up among so many cats, and inside a metal can they cannot leave. Another thing is that I can only maintain this connection for a few minutes a day, 1 hour or less maximum.
Okay, Yazhi. Come whenever you want. What do you plan to share?
The truth is that I don't really have articles, only ideas, things to say in conversation with you. I mean, whatever comes up. And later things will develop from there. For me, the important thing is to keep the communication channel open.
Yes, and for us, we will be here.
That's why I tell you, I managed to get back online before the t-shirts did.
And what are you going to do with so many cats? Why doesn't Rigel leave them at Vieira? Or a few of them?
Because this is their home. And because it is not the fault of any one of them in particular. Because they have empathy for the cats, even if sometimes they feel like strangling them. They would not do that to those little beings who also suffer from the feline overpopulation. Besides, many of them were born here.
Sure. So the situation with the cats isn't as bad as it seems.
Yes and no. Because on the other hand, food is scarce, or at least rationed, according to how long it must last. And because they dirty everything and damage many things, they cause serious havoc. It's not a small matter. It has influenced the conflicts among the t-shirts here a lot, and also the bad mood on board.
Is it just cat food that is scarce?
Everyone's. But many Thai kittens end up sharing their food with the cats, and that's not good, because it also makes the felines sick, since they should not eat certain things.
Saska doesn't come?
Yes, but the Saska comes at fixed intervals when it travels from Temer toward Aldebaran. It stops here on the way and then leaves. There is enough food, but the cats go into a state of panic competition and everything gets finished in the first days. Then they are left hungry. So to prevent that, the food has to be measured and rationed for them. But that is extra work added to a crew that is already overworked. Too many cats make them compete with each other to see who eats more. And there are thin, sick cats with problems related to food, while others are all chubby and round, fat little porkers, and that's not fair.
Gosia entering the chat. Yazhi, don't mention that I live from this, because I don't do anything related to this work thinking about money. For me, it's as if that factor doesn't exist. I only think about how to do everything in the best way. I don't care about continuing because of money. In a million years, I wouldn't think like that. Don't you know me by now? It makes no difference to me if I live from something. If we have to stop for someone's well-being or everyone's, then we stop. I want to manage somehow. And Robert too. And of course we are tired, both of us. But that's not why we want to stop. I'm only thinking about everyone's well-being, everyone's, the T's here. We are only tired, but some there seem to be worse off. Now you say they are also not well for many other reasons. Okay, yeah, surely, I understand that. But Yazhi, it's only logical that I would want to have the T's authorization to continue. I think that is the most correct and responsible thing. We use their faces, their information. I am rebellious and fearless too, but when it comes to the cabal, the Federation, and the reptiles, the T-shirts I do want to respect. I think this should be seen as something positive on my part, nothing against you. I love your information and being able to work with you, you know that. I adore you, and I don't even need to say it. I'm dying to know what else you would like to share, and to be able to share it. Unfortunately, there is a T-shirts factor here, and how they take everything. But okay, if you say yes, that they agree with you sharing some info for the people, then go ahead. I'm happy to do it. You know I will be here as long as you need me, as long as you need us here. I am not in a hurry to go anywhere.
I know you don't do it for money. We've talked about that countless times, as if I didn't know you. However, I also know that you need to eat and live. There is nothing wrong with money. That's what I mean. It's true that on the ship there have been tense moments, but things are coming down, and they were not caused by our work itself. Only that this work created extra load because of unnecessary drama. What I haven't managed to say yet is that the T-shirts cannot easily come online.
Okay, still because of orders from councils and whoever?
In general, all communication restrictions of every kind have become stricter. Earth is very much in quarantine.
Okay, and what inspired you to connect these days? Why not before or later?
In the last 2 weeks, I felt a strong need to return, no matter how.
Why?
Just something I felt very strongly. It was a feeling of sadness that I had to remove. That's how it felt.
I felt that too, Yazhi. I felt very without vitality. I even told you I went to get my blood test. Robert said he felt the same.
I feel like my life doesn't have much purpose. Like there isn't much for me to do here. I don't even have hobbies. They just invent a little school to keep me busy. That's why I want to continue. But at the same time, there is a feeling of fear about facing slander again and the pressure.
That's exactly why I worry about continuing. I don't want it to affect you badly or anyone.
It shouldn't have to. But there is that worry because from this side what happened was very ugly.
Referring to the infiltration of 2020-21. How has your relationship with the Taigetans been these months?
Quite bad, or fluctuating.
Why bad? Do they still blame you?
for using mind control and manipulation to make people do what I want. Because I have very much the psychology of Joan of Arc, that I pull armies like Joan of Arc, instigating the masses. But the soldiers of those armies are the ones who die and get hurt.
Damn, I don't see it like that at all. We are always manipulated by something, or even by our higher self, other selves, other people. Where are you, really? There is no such thing as a truly individual being. The Tagetans are also manipulated from above, they just may not know it.
Something manipulates me too. If you are a scorpion and all you know is to sting, then you sting.
Yes, something moves you too, exactly. They should go to the etheric planes to look for who is to blame. Let things happen, and that's it. It's a waste of energy looking for culprits when life simply unfolds the way it does. We have to do what moves us, and that's it. Each one of us. In Taygeta, they could blame Alanim for having the crew here. It never ends, just pointing fingers. When in reality, each one creates their own reality and is responsible for their life. We always say that to humans.
Everything is too complicated to find culprits. Yes, exactly. Honestly, I'm only interested in sharing information that I know is only my opinion or our opinion, and not worrying anymore about who it scratches, who it affects, or who it saves and excites.
Okay, so now this is the end of that conversation, that situation with Yazhi. This was the only time that we really had this type of a serious look at the situation. And I must say, Alanim never came online. And that was actually the time when we started just chatting with Yazhi and later Athena. And, when Mari came also, Mari was already there, but was she? Yeah, I think she was already there, but she would come here and there, and we had a few chats with her. Maybe Dorkalel came once, but we never after that, we never had a conversation with Alanim, which, it was explained by them, by Yazhi and Athena, that that was an agreement that they would take over and they would take care of this work now. And Alanim and other people were now also very busy with Mari and Mari training as a queen, so the attention was there. But that was the only time that we talked about this so seriously. I have to say again, for the record, Yazhi did not manipulate us in this conversation, which it may look. This is talking. When people talk and express their ideas or express their enthusiasm or express their perspective, this is not manipulation. This is an open conversation. Like I said, manipulation is doing something shady, using a lie, like the one I already mentioned in the beginning of the video, to obtain a certain result. But this was just talking. Talking is not manipulation. Trying to convince someone, that's also not manipulation. Even though Yazhi, I didn't feel like she was convincing. She was just presenting, her response to my concerns, which were very, very, very serious. I loved doing this, I will say. I continue to do this because I love it. Of course, we're tired. We were tired throughout the years, so they were. But this is just part of the process, part of the work. It doesn't mean that we haven't loved it. We continue to do this. So it wasn't hard to convince me in a way. I just needed to be sure that they understand my point of view. I don't know until this day if really Alanim read this conversation or not, and that's why I am showing it, because I don't know how much some of these people who were not approving of the project knew about these deeper inner conversations that we had. Maybe it was summarized, but today I decided to show it all. So I was very serious about stopping, even though, of course, I loved it. Now, a few months after that, Mari opened her channel. So actually, I was relieved. I was relieved because there was a lot of pressure of us. And there was a lot of pressure of us to work, to share. Well, pressure, our own create. They never exert any pressure. It was our own self-produced pressure. But it was a pressure because, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility. And if anything happens, attacks, now I felt like, okay, this is going to be a shared responsibility because we're not the only ones doing this. Now, Mari is also clearly showing that she wants to participate too in her own way, which we supported. But we were happy that, I was happy, I will speak for myself, that, in a way that this is not going to be a scapegoat anymore, that now this is also a shared responsibility. If anything happens against this whole group, then, it's not just on us, because it wasn't a nice feeling to know that we were scapegoats for many things. I mean, I just want to help. What's wrong with that? And it's not our fault that we are strong and that we are healthy and that we are not getting sick, because it could very well be the reverse, that we could have got sick first or in the process. And then what? Who do we blame for that, right? No, this is our responsibility. We want to do this. So it's not our fault that we are strong, that we want to continue, that we are healthy for now, which, of course, somewhere I am sure this is accumulating, the stress, because, again, I repeat, we love this, but it's also stress, of course. So now let's go to the very important speculative. This is speculation, but still it might be relevant. Connection to the recent infiltration. Okay, at the time when all this was happening, with Yazhi being blamed, with the people there expressing their dissatisfaction with what was happening around this project, like Yazhi said, not the project itself, but what it was producing. But hey, it's inevitable, something will be produced. So at the time, I didn't pay much attention to that. I didn't think much of it at all, because I was just thinking, well, there are just some disagreements, like, among people, like no big deal. Like, for example, Matthias will say something that doesn't agree with what I want to do, or Robert, normal stuff. So I did not pay much attention. And we were never told that there were some bad apples there on the ship. No, it was very harmonious. I mean, from what we were told, harmonious with the exception of some disagreements here and there, which, again, I thought they were just a normal part of life among people. And also we knew through Anneka, Athena, and Yazhi that some of those people who disagreed later agreed, and maybe others disagreed again, or maybe agreed again. They were always changing in rotating sides, and changing opinions throughout the years. So this is normal. So I didn't pay attention. But now I'm starting to feel that this was not really normal. The way Yazhi was feeling on the ship, I mean, for a very long time she was always expressing that they are making her feel so bad and unwanted. And this was not just coming from her, because you could say, this is just some child interpretation, like kids are, I hate you, they would say to their parents, they would argue and throw bad words, and, you could interpret it that way. But no, it was also confirmed by Athena and by Anneka. And that's why my video to Taigetans was produced, because I talked to Athena about this, and I said, I'm going to make a video, and I will explain how I see Yazhi from my perspective. She's not manipulating anybody, that this is great. So this was coming also from Athena and from Anneka, confirming this. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm only presenting what I know, okay? You draw the conclusions. Yazhi was blamed. Yazhi was made unwanted by some, and for some reasons, of course, not by everybody, I repeat, and also we don't know the whole story. We don't know everything there. So Yazhi was blamed. Yazhi was feeling very bad, and one of the reasons was because this was for protection, to protect their health. So, but I've started to feel maybe this was an excuse that this was for protection of someone's health, that they didn't want them close to this project. Maybe there was a deeper reason. And now I will tell you something else as another piece of puzzle. Around 2003, more or less when Mari was there, I don't know how far back, but more or less when Mari was there towards the end, I heard from Athena and from Yazhi that there were very strong, there was very strong ambience against Svaru in general, Svaru Verra. There was like this growing anti-Svaru campaign. So this was very opposite to how it was before, because when I showed you the conversations in the Svaru series, behind the scenes, but Svaru, those first 2 videos, she was so cherished. She was their treasure, precious jewel that we had to take care of and this and that. And more or less, in those last 3 years, we heard from Athena there was a lot of anti-Svaru sentiment. And I know some of the reasons, and it seems like, okay, well, you would always disagree with someone on a certain situation. So according to them, Svaru made some decisions that, according to them, were not right. I'm speaking slowly because I'm very careful how to say this, because I also don't have the context. I mean, I have pieces, but not the whole context. But also, I must tell you something else, that about 2021, there was some kind of a strange timeline shift. I remember that, and it did have to do with Yazhi, collective perception, stuff like that. But I do remember that there were people who remember something different. We remember something different. I think something happened in that moment that split the collective perception. And I'm thinking maybe the way they remember Svaru Verra, it was some of those people who were like anti. Maybe they remember something else than what we remember. So I'm just telling you what we saw from Athena, and you draw your conclusions. I'm only presenting what I have, and I do not have all the pieces. So some of them were anti-Svaru, some of them were anti-Yazhi. Then there were these shenanigans all the way back to the first Svaru 1, who was hiding in Erra in the forest. Why she was hiding? She was hiding because there was persecution against her from some Taigetan group. Like, what's going on here? There is some sort of a deal here against Svarus. We all know that the cabal goes all the way to Taigeta, so it's like she's hunted. And there are strange things going on with that. Also, I'll show you this now. At the same time, there was this group on Earth of the humans talking to them up there, already forming in secret from us. And I know this, and I'll now show you a part of the conversation with Yazhi, because Yazhi told me. But let me put that on hold first. So, anti-Svaru sentiments, anti-Yazhi sentiments, shenanigans all the way back in the Taigetan history, Svaru 1 hiding in the forest, other factions in Taigeta against Alanim, who wanted to have a different queen. I mean, even the words that Yazhi used when she described the feeling from those Taigetans, she said, they were cruel to me. And that's exactly the same feeling that I have received from this infiltrating group, like cruelty. I cannot explain that. And from that CIC. So now, going back to what I said, secret group. I'm not going to say the name of the person. You already know, many of you, who was always this third contactee. And she was the one that became CIC1 later on. later on. But she was the one already in 2021 or 2022 trying to set up the secret group, which I believe later became CIC. And Yazhi is telling me about it. This is how I know. I'm not inventing this. I read this in the transcript just recently. I forgot about this. Yazhi is saying she got this idea that we must have an online space just for fun with a small group of friends. Although, in my eyes, it would add up to the computer screen time. She thinks you shouldn't know it exists. And this is her way of protecting us from overwork. And she's got that wrong, because you and Robert are most definitely not overworking us. It's as if she concluded that on her own. And I say, that's nuts. I barely work with you now anyway, getting accumulated stuff out. And I am happy when you can talk to other people other than me, play games, because then I can work. I have no time for game playing. And Yazhi says, I'm shortening this whole conversation. Yazhi says, we know that t-shirts know. That's not an issue here for anyone. That's why I must set this straight. So I must talk to her and fix that, because that's not fair, says Yazhi. So from this conversation, you can see that there were already campaigns against us from this person who didn't even know us, saying, manipulating, instigating even Yazhi and them, saying that we are overworking them and they need to hide play games. Whereas Yazhi and Athena and everybody always knew that I have absolutely no problem with them talking to anybody. This is a release. I cannot control who they can talk to or who they cannot. This is absurd. Plus, this was a relief for me, knowing that they would have some kind of a group. I always knew that they had them to play games, because I don't have time to play games. I'm not here to play games. If they have some other friends to play a game with, or talk about recipes or something, that's fine for me, because this relief, this gives me time now to go at work, because this was very hard for us. We had to be sitting there talking, listening to all these different stories, right? Them listening to our stories as well. And then, engage in some sort of conversation about a certain topic. And then we had to do the video from that. So to play games, we didn't have time anymore. Of course, we would be happy and relieved to know that they have a group to do that. But the point is that she was instigating that. So as all this was happening up there, some people did not like this project for whatever reason. It was going all the way back to the Federation and Council members who did not know us, as Yazhi says. And at the same time, on Earth, from other contactees, we had this instigation against us. It was just so not fair. This is just all so not fair. Who is behind that person, behind that group that later became CIC? I feel it's all coordinated, because they have no idea at all. And this, I'm going to show you now something. Around the same time, I am actually asking Athena and Yazhi to slow down. That's how much we were overworking them. I was overworked myself, and I wanted to slow down. And this is a conversation. I also shortened it because this video is very long already, where I'm actually asking, and this is like the only time when I'm really officially asking to slow down a little bit, because this was at the time when they were coming in all the time, which was, of course, great and very exciting to have new knowledge to pass. Happy to do that, and that's my job. I'm happy to do that, but at the same time, it was accumulating. As I always say, I have always so much accumulated, and I always stop at that, right? I always say, I have so much accumulated. But what you don't know is that throughout these years, so much has been accumulated that it created a lot of pressure for me, because I need to get this out. I don't know how much time I will have or what's going to happen with the world, and I want this out as fast as possible. And I'm also not kind of a person that I'm not able to just do the video with one image and just let it be. Sometimes I do that, but most of the time I'm like perfectionist on all levels, so I have to make sure it's well presented. I don't want to allow any errors or mistakes, so I go over it many times. So I'm asking to slow down. Also, in that time, Athena was also saying that, well, she has other responsibilities. She has to take care of Mari and this and that, and she has flying responsibilities. So this was also helping her. I said, okay, for both of us' sake, I think it's better to slow down. So this is how I'm overworking them. I'm asking to slow down. I was the one that asked to slow down because of the pressure for the material building up. And this is the conversation with Yazhi about this. This is short. I'll see you at the end, okay? It's not the end yet.
Between all of you, you have left a lot to communicate. And I have hundreds of videos piled up. So in my case, the pressure comes from having more and more material. And I cannot simply let it pile up because it becomes mental weight. The same thing happened with Aneka when she had pending questions to answer. Of course, we always tell each other, whenever we can, no rush. But it's still an accumulation of tasks, and that weighs on you. You know it has to be done. You can't just let it go. And every new piece of information is weight. Exciting, yes, but still weight, because I wanted to reach people. That's why I want to suggest to Athena that she also take it calmly. There is no need to be here every day giving information. That would help both her and me equally.
Don't take everything so seriously. Everyone is taking this disclosure and the responsibilities too seriously. And that goes for Tina, and especially for Aneka. Be more like me, the egocentric Yazhi, who disappears except when she wants to say something. Be free. It's not that big of a deal.
Yes, I agree. Only appear when you feel like it. But how not to take it seriously? It's like Aneka, when we told her not to worry about the tasks. It's just something you feel.
Drop everything and go do whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy. Watch how I do it because nobody pays attention. Sometimes I don't come in for weeks because I have my own things. And even so, I still end up saying everything I want to say. And what I don't, I delegate to Tina or Aneka.
Yazhi, I do that. I have a puppy, I go outside. But even so, every new piece of information that comes in weighs on me because I know I have to make a video with it. Of course, I don't have to, but I do have to. That's why I'm here. And I don't have anyone to delegate to.
Just do things because you feel like it, not because of work. You don't have to publish anything. I am not forcing you. And those who attack us can go fuck off because they are just more matrix. And that's to be expected. What matters is how the four of you take it. And you take everything very or too seriously. That goes for you too, and for Tina and Aneka, especially Aneka, who took this too seriously unnecessarily, and then they blame me for pushing her to do it.
Yes, but Yazhi, I can't disappear for weeks because all the information will pile up even more. Besides, it's current information and it has to come out now, not a month later. So in my case, I can't come in every 3 weeks to make videos.
Just publish what you feel is most important. Or don't. You are free. The same for Robert. And let the work pile up. What doesn't matter? Just do what you see as necessary, if you want. Even so, that's a decision each of you makes, whether to take things that way or not.
Also, as I said, you come when you want, Athena when she wants. But even so, I have 50 different topics accumulated to share. I don't know how it's possible, but it's the way it is. Because when you come and talk about something, that may be 2 hours. But then I spend 2 days making the video about it and in 2 languages. So it piles up. Although it's exciting too. As I said, I want to suggest to Athena that she also not take it so seriously. Like you say. That way it helps me too. That we both relax. We will both be better. Because for her, it is emotional strain to write with so much responsibility. And for me, it is to prepare the videos. Yazhi, you know, all this work feels like it's not my decision, but some kind of commitment from above. From myself, whatever that means. And if you are that higher self too, well, then make it so I can stop taking it so seriously, so I don't feel anxious about the accumulation of topics.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do right now.
So there it is. I remember Robert was not extremely happy with me saying that because, well, he was not building up so much because he was not doing this in two languages, and also a lot of the videos he was presenting in a live format, so it was faster for him. But I did tell him, well, listen, this is to take the pressure of myself, but also of them, because they love to do this and they wanted to, but it is still pressure, just like for us. We love to do it, we love to continue to do this, but it is some sort of a pressure, you know. And also, like it was mentioned in this video, all these Taigetans and Svarus, they were coming and going. And we were always the same people. Until today, we are the same two people that started this. And we had Svaru and Anneka and Yazhi and Athena and Alanim and Dorkale, and they were all sharing and rotating. And we are all absorbing it, just two of us. And I have to do this in two languages. And on top of that, like you see in many of these conversations, we were there for them as their friends. That was the bulk of the contact always, to listen to the stories and be there for them, helping psychologically, assisting, accompanying, and also vice versa. Okay, and it's just that, like I said, for us, we didn't have those stories, so there was nothing for them to assist us with so much because. I believe, our stories were not collapsing their minds, really. But anyway, collapsing and expanding, I will say, okay? Collapsing and expanding at the same time. So anyway, for someone to appear out of nowhere, some kind of a third party, and calling us exploiters, that just was too much. Just because we dared to question the credibility of what was happening. We have invested so much of ourselves, of our energy and time into this work, into them as friends, into maintaining this friendship, so much energy all day on the computer. So everything that someone said in that channel, they are either lying, plain and simple, or it's someone who doesn't know us. And that's how we knew, additionally, as a confirmation, that there was some kind of infiltration, because Yazhi and Athena, as we knew them, no way they would have allowed what was said. It was just not true. And a lot of those people, like Yazhi said, back in Taygeta, who didn't like her, who didn't like Svarus towards the end, didn't know us much. So are these people those who infiltrated? Did they hook up with those several who were always against this project on the ship, against Yazhi? Did they team up? I don't know what happened, so this is all just speculation. But it pained me, I will say, to see how many people, our followers who knew us. I don't even blame the ones who are new. The ones that would have been with us since the beginning, who knew us, that they would just so quickly go against us and believe those strange stories about us, those accusations. They, after all the years of hard work, of seeing how we work, of seeing our transparency, COVID times, video after video, all free, because I had my channel totally demonetized in English for 5 years. For 5 years. The only reason why I monetized was actually to accompany Mari, because she wanted to accompany her video. And I decided to do that together as a solidarity, as an idea to give half of that to them. I was sending half of that, what I was receiving from monetization, to them for 2 years. So after that, all these people that have been with us since the beginning, they would just turn around and believe the stories that we are agents and that we exploit. And are you for real? Insane. I talk about this because it still hurts. The whole situation is still with us. It will always be with us until it is cleared. And if it's not cleared ever, well, it will always be with us. It's going to be there, and I don't want it to become a shadow. That's why I am talking about it. That's why I am admitting to myself it still hurts. I am embracing that. This is something I will always carry. There is no healing from it, and especially because there is no way to disconnect. We continue to do this. We continue to spread their information. We continue to talk about them. We continue to accept the invitation to their places, to public appearances. Like now I will go to France. I will talk about them. We receive invitations to the interviews. And we continue to stand by them, even though there is just so much hurt and so much incognita, so many mysteries around this and puzzles. And that's why there is no healing really, because the healing would be if I completely disconnected, and I'm not doing that, and I'm not going to do that. Space Academy, I'm also working with their knowledge, with the insights, with what we have learned. Going back to Yazhi, I told you that this video is about Yazhi, but not really only about the Yazhi, because there's so much more behind here that I wanted to show. My final conclusions here, final thoughts. Yazhi after 2022, because you would ask, how was she later? Well, she took refuge in being a child. So at that moment, she started to flee toward her child being more and enjoy herself as a child. She was delaying growing up. The situation with the targetants, as far as I remember, although I will have to dig some conversations out, stabilized. It kind of was always the same. But then Mari was on board, so the attention also went towards Mari, and then training her to become the queen and all that. So Yazhi was kind of on the side. And what we talked about in this last conversation, what I'm asking to slow down a little bit, it did happen. It did happen. When the communication was less, was more relaxed, less topics coming in, was a more chilled vibe for both sides. Well, it was always chilled, but meaning it was not like super everyday. Well, especially in times of COVID, it was very, very hectic because there was a lot of information that had to be passed out. And passed out. And, I could focus on older stuff, which I still have. I still have so much accumulated, and I still have to get it out. Mari was sharing her stuff, which was a relief, a shared responsibility. She was sharing the information. So some of that pressure was off. And we were glad to continue working this way, supporting her. It was a good 2 years. I was supporting them different ways. Like I said, the contact was less, but that's kind of, I believe that was probably the result of also what I was asking, to slow down a little bit because but actually I was just asking to slow down the info. I didn't necessarily ask to slow down personally, but that also slowed down. But I'm associating that with Mari's arrival, and she took a lot of attention, because before Yazhi didn't have anybody on the ship like she had Mari later. So she was coming online every night. I remember for quite some time around the COVID time, because she didn't have many friends on board. And then Mari came, and she was like her biggest sister. So they were spending time together. But it was a good years, 2 years, good years. Us working side by side. That's what we felt. And another thing, and before I go, I have to just stress that everything I presented here, everything I shared, is based on the chats that we had and what we knew. There is always so much more and much more that we don't know. So this is a picture from my perspective based on the pieces that I have, okay? So if anybody out there is watching, especially I'm referring to up there, and says, wow, But so much more was happening on Gosia just doesn't, well, I don't know what else. If I don't know, then I don't know. I am only presenting what I know, which I am aware that it's a piece of the situation. And now in the next video, this is going to be a surprise video, I will share with you that private video transmission that I did. I recorded myself on the couch there, and I'm addressing Taigetans, talking to Yazhi. Remember, it was at the time when I thought that this was just some disagreements. It's not a big deal. Now I'm starting to connect the pieces. Maybe it was actually something shadier there starting to peek through. I'm not sure. I'm not saying this is just a speculation. But at the time, I thought this was just some, a family disagreement, no big deal. So I'm addressing the Taigetans. I will show it to you, almost unedited, how I spoke about Yazhi to the Taigetans. This was, by the way, with the agreement with Athena, because Athena was confirming, yes, Yazhi feels a bit bad. Yeah, okay, I agree with the video. Maybe it will reach some of the Taigetans, because you have to understand they were not in our conversations. They didn't know the extent of our friendship. They didn't know what we were talking about. They were not there. So whatever they heard was from what Athena would tell them, Yazhi, but for sure she was not telling them everything, right? So they could never hear from me how I view certain things. So that's why I made that video. Thank you so much. This was a long video, but it was important for me. It's part of my healing process. Even though I'm not sure I'm really healing, I feel like more I'm on a standby in the piece. I haven't even traveled anywhere since September. And this is very unusual for me. I have been hiding in my cave, doing the videos, doing the work, but I even haven't had the need to go anywhere. Normally I go take Bongo and I go to some town. I go for one day or for the weekend. I'm not even talking about traveling far away, just around Finland. I didn't do anything since September, just staying at home. And I feel it has to do with that, I don't know, healing process. Even though I feel more or less, rather it's like a standby stillness rather than healing. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I'm going to see you in the next one, the surprise video, my message to the Taigetans.